Okay, great. So we are now right at the start of where we take Lojong into our daily lives, how we go from our meditation into carrying what we're learning just moment to moment. And I think each one of these slogans we could spend months on because they are profound. And so, like many of the things we've been exploring, it's very few words, but the contemplation that goes with the few words is something not only to take to heart, but to see each and every one is a key to your liberation. So the slogan for today is 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 seeds of wisdom. So I think what we might do this morning is I'll talk a little bit about it. We'll contemplate it. Then I'll talk a little bit more about how to go more deeply into the slogan. And then there'll be group discussion as usual. So 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 seeds of wisdom. It's commonly referred to friends, enemies as neutrals, and neutrals as the 3 objects. But essentially, we can see that the 3 objects are any of the sense objects. So it could be a different response to the same object. So I could hold up this glass and I could be thirsty and see the object and have the response of wanting a drink of water. I could hold up this glass and be totally indifferent to it, or I could hold up this glass and be annoyed that it was lukewarm, perhaps. And then there are the 3 seeds of wisdom. So with any of the responses, excuse me, with any of the responses, I can turn my frame of mind from a reaction to noticing and relaxing right in that moment, to see the reaction for what it is, to see the nature or the absolute aspect or the thusness of the glass of water, and turn that moment of seeing an object into a seed of wisdom. So you can see it's this tiny, 9 words that are actually the key to what perpetuates the wheel of samsara and what releases us from the wheel of samsara. So we are living our lives and we are in the midst of the fullness of life. And what we don't realize is that in every moment, we're taking a step back and judging and separating. And that judging and separating is less than an eye blink, less than a fraction of an eye blink. We're having so many reactions that we have no idea how many we're having in any given moment, but every sensory contact that we have, like we're sitting in relatively warm rooms, you have multiple objects around you, you're seeing the computer, you're hearing my voice, you're hearing whatever sounds are in the room with you, you're seeing the pictures scrolling at the top. And we're having these instant responses of for and against or indifferent in this complexity of life. And that reactivity is a step away from the direct experience of the present moment, because we are separating with an overlay of I want, I don't want, or I want to escape into a neutrality. So this is an indication of why mindfulness, moment to moment, is the teaching of every single Buddhist tradition and is the teaching for the second we move off our meditation cushion, to keep a watchful eye on our constant, consistent rejection of the wildness of life, trying to create some sort of safe, secure, enjoyable place set up with this wanting and not wanting or indifference. So we can see it in animals really easily. You can see animals fighting over food. You can see animals building their nests, defending their nests, and all of it is samsara. And so it may be easy to see the directness of those responses in samsara. If you have a dog, you can see how automatic their defensive barking is and how automatic their wanting is for food. So because we're in the desire realm, the predominant emotion is wanting, and the predominant sense is seeing. So we can access pretty quickly the seeing and wanting, or the seeing and rejecting. And with the Tonglen, you can start to see how, if we think of all of life, the people we know as friends and the people we reject as enemies are just a tiny portion of the vastness of living beings on the planet. So we have this indifference to the vastness of life, to, really most of life. So when we're in meditation, we're trying to be present and open and non-reactive. And in that non-reactive space, we are turning towards all of life, not rejecting any of life. And we're approaching it with this curiosity and friendliness. One of the things I was contemplating this morning was I've been on retreat for several weeks and thinking about, well, people are always saying, did you have a good retreat or a bad retreat, or how was your retreat? And it made me sort of laugh, because it's not a good experience or a bad experience. All it is learning to become open to your mind and all of life with that openness, and you go into that space in layers of subtlety each time you go into retreat. And so it's a little like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And I used to go out every fall and collect the caterpillars and create a little terrarium and watch them turn into the chrysalis. And turning into the chrysalis is like going into retreat. You're creating a space so that you can really explore, how are you responding to life? How is your mind separating reactive and closed? And how do you create habits that allow you to open? So I was looking up, what happens scientifically, and it's so extraordinary. They said that in the chrysalis, that a caterpillar is born with imaginal cells, and those imaginal cells are all the potential of the butterfly complete. So similarly, we have Buddha nature. So we have the, if you like, the imaginal cells for our complete Buddhahood. And what happens in the chrysalis is the caterpillar dissolves and digests everything. And so what we're looking at when we're exploring our minds is digesting everything that we experience. And the imaginal cells use that protein matter to become the butterfly. So they use everything that is the caterpillar as the food to become the butterfly. So this slogan is pointing out that our minds and all of life is the food to become the Buddha. And our job as meditators is to learn how to do that. And as we move from the quiet of the solitude of our meditation cushion, where we have limited for a time all of the influences, we're not as bombarded by outside conversations and activity. As we move from our cushion into post-meditation, we observe our responses freshly. And in that freshness, we see we have a choice in the slowed down quality that's a residual quality from the meditation to choose the reaction or choose the curious openness, the curiosity, friendly attitude and openness. And one is turning away from the seat of wisdom and essentially rejecting life. And the other is turning towards life as the seat of wisdom, as the openness of the present moment, as the key to the door of wisdom. So let's sit with that for just a few minutes. Just contemplating the difference of our reaction, even though it's so subtle and swift. The more we meditate, the more we can see our reactivity. And looking at that reactivity, seeing for what it is, and allowing it to settle and return to that relaxed state that we touched base with in our meditation session. So let's think about that. So we're taking 10 minutes for meditation. 2 more people have just joined us. So let's take this a little deeper. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 seeds of wisdom. So friends, enemies, and people that we don't know yet. So friends, we really love their good points and we can overlook their faults. Enemies, we see their faults and we overlook their good points. The people we don't know, we, for whatever our limitations might be, choose not to care. Let's just put it that way. Let's put that in the indifferent quality. And the friends, to some degree, are things we want, things we benefit from. There's a sense of wanting to surround ourselves with the comfort of friends in that mutual ignoring of faults. Let's just, for today, put it like that. And enemies we don't want, and the indifferent is we have a smaller capacity to know and love. And so each of these situations gives us a way to open and grow if we choose to, as opposed to only wanting the comfort of what makes us feel good in our life and pushing away what we don't like, and creating a barrier so that nothing intrudes on our comfort. So then let's extend that to our inner world. And if we think about, there are some aspects of ourselves that we like, some aspects of ourselves that we don't like, and some aspects of ourselves that we really don't want to see. And so if we are heading towards wisdom, all these combinations and categories are ways of not looking closely at the freshness of this moment as it's arising. It's sort of sending us continually into our habit energy of, this person's my friend, I always like them. This person is annoying, they're always going to be annoying. And I can't bring myself to care about, everyone else in the world down the road. And in terms of ourselves, here we are maintaining a habit of how we're viewing ourselves instead of opening to our shadow side and learning about it and opening to the aspects that we don't want to see and learning about that. So if we take that into the chrysalis example, the butterfly that's in that chrysalis, the imaginal cells needs all of it to turn into a butterfly. And from the perspective of the being that's going from the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the butterfly, they don't see different stages with different names. They see all of this is digestible. So they're not rejecting any part of life or any part of what's available. All of it is not only digestible, it's essential to those imaginal cells to produce all the components that are the butterfly. So the comparison that I'm making this morning is all of life and all of us is the, we're phrasing it here as the seed of wisdom, but all of it is what makes us eventually a Buddha. So to reject any part of it as not useful, to not see the seed of wisdom in any part of it, you might be missing half a wing or half an antenna. You're not quite all of a Buddha without all of it. And if we take it even one step further, the Buddha from the perspective of the Buddha, just like the butterfly from the perspective of the butterfly, was always the Buddha was always the butterfly all the way along. It was a maturing process. So the butterfly doesn't see the dissolved caterpillar part as not part of them, or to be rejected. All of it is just all of it. From the perspective of the Buddha's mind, all of it is just all of it. It hasn't ever divided into this is nice and this is not nice. This is pure, this is impure. This is Khenmo and this is Annie. It's just all of it as all of it. So that's why we want to really, from a perspective of just fascination, see that separation that our mind makes into these categories and relax back into that open moment of all of it. And where is the wisdom of this very moment? Okay, let's sit with this for a few minutes more. If all of it is making the Buddha, where's the part to reject? Where is the pure and the impure? Where is the good and the bad? Where is the friend and the enemy? So I mentioned we had a little bit of trouble with confused people coming into the meetings. So that's why there's a waiting room today. And I'm going to change it so that you can unmute yourself. And if you'd like to share what you learned this past month, or questions about the slogan this morning, you can now unmute yourself, and I will close the Facebook. Bodhicitta, excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise, where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. So saying goodbye to the Facebook friends and starting the small group discussion. So thoughts this morning?
I thought this morning was very profound in a way that when I've been thinking of myself, I do find myself saying, that's not me, the bad part, right? That's not who I want to be. That's not who I am. And my conscious mind is trying to categorize the unconscious thought. But looking at it like it's all food that we need to grow, I think it had a profound impact on me.
It is quite something, isn't it? And that's a very universal, I think, sense of looking at oneself. We all look at ourselves and reject aspects. And we have this sense sometimes, I think, that becoming a Buddha is becoming something else, some better self, as opposed to the caterpillar is the butterfly is the caterpillar. From the perspective of the being, there's no difference. It's all an evolution of wisdom. Yeah. Nice to see your faces again.
Khenmo, something that you said at the beginning that sort of rang a bell for me. And I'd be interested to just know if I'm hearing this right, is I think you said it was about wanting, not wanting, like, and escaping into neutrality. And if I'm hearing you right, that's saying, are you saying that sometimes, like, that escaping into neutrality is also in that same sort of way, not really being in touch in the present moment? So it's like, all right, I'm not gonna go into wanting or not wanting. I'll just say none of it really matters. And that also is sort of like indifference as opposed to equanimity.
Exactly. So, it's so interesting because we are studying things through the lens of a different culture and through multiple translators. So when we talk about the poisons, it used to be passion, aggression, and ignorance. And really starting to refine or make those words more accessible, especially in our culture, compulsive wanting, that's the materialism of our culture. And we can really relate to compulsive wanting, and we can see really clearly the connection between the compulsive wanting and addiction. And it's the compulsion aspect. And then if we look at the poison of anger, it's at a more fundamental level. It's a compulsive not wanting. And the ignorance, it's not simply not knowing, it's escaping into not knowing. You know, there's that quality of, I don't want to see the suffering that's going on in the hospital in my neighborhood, so I want to not know that. And so I'll find a way to not know that.
Thank you. That, yeah, that last part. I'm working with, in some work with humanitarian aid workers in a dangerous place.
Mhm,
And I've heard them say, one of the things is not being able to unsee things they've seen,
mhm, yeah,
which makes me think what you said, like, and that's why we don't want to see certain things, because then we can't unsee them, but they're real.
they're real, and we don't know yet how to make that a seed of wisdom. And so I hope one of the things that our continuous exploration of Tonglen, you know, over time, is a fearlessness of looking and seeing that that looking can be a deeper and deeper unfolding into compassion. That a part of the unseeing is or the fear of seeing something is a fear of being hurt, as opposed to the other potential is opening bigger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
And when we look at it from the comparison I was trying to make, if we think of the caterpillar moves to the chrysalis, moves to the butterfly, and we move from ordinary people to students of the Dharma, students of wisdom, to bodhisattvas and Buddhas, that unfolding, opening process is a process of using everything. So there's nothing or no thing or no experience to not see, because all of it becomes a seed of wisdom. But we have to learn in our own way through the Dharma to find a way to make it a seed of wisdom, as opposed to being overwhelmed. So that is the job that we're doing as meditators and Dharma students.
You just made me think. Bear with me. To not see is to be a Nazi. That's a little mnemonic I'm going to remember. Right?
Well, again, you know, when we're reading some of the great Dharma masters, you know, what they're trying to demonstrate for us is part of this sense of protection is the separation, and taking baby steps in our own way. Where we're heading is to all of life. And then from the perspective of the Buddha looking out, that's the great extraordinary thing. All of life is that expansive, compassionate knowing of the Buddha. There's nothing excluded from that.
Question that comes to my mind is, what are the unseen parts of myself that I'm turning away from? You know, And just as we often choose not to see the terrible things going on in society and in our world, and also we choose not to see the parts of ourselves where that it hurts too much to look at.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I thought was so extraordinary about the metaphor with the chrysalis and the imaginal cells digesting everything to make the butterfly.
Well, it also
Less fearful of those sides of ourselves, so that we give ourselves the opportunity to change the pattern for ourselves, for our whole family, because we carry family patterns of things that are too painful to see. So going into the past and into the future, and also into the human condition.
In my career, I've toured hundreds of gardens, and usually the tour, they show you the prettiest parts of the garden, but there's one, and I can't remember where it is. It's an estate, and on that estate in the Northeast US somewhere, they have a trunk garden, like a rotting trunk garden. And so they let us go wherever we wanted to go. There were many different parts of that estate that we could go and look at. And I thought, oh, I don't think I want to see that, Anyway, I ended up going there, and it was the most wondrous place in the whole garden, the whole estate. And the trunks were big tree trunks laying in a shaded area, and they had all kinds of beautiful fruiting fungi in like Technicolor, and so it was really something. And this is what I've been thinking of most of the time you were talking is about that garden. So.
Oh my goodness. I think I would really like to see us make some guided meditations. Like, I would like to see your guided meditation of the garden. And Ashanti, where are you? I haven't forgotten. You and I are going to get together with your physics meditation. There you are. Hi. Beautiful metaphor. It's just so nice to see all your faces. I love seeing you again. Okay, any last, yes, Kathy.
I was going to say a lot of this reminds me of the sense of awe and just sustaining that. Rachel Carlson, her book A Sense of Wonder, and the little thing, the verse that goes with that. If I had any sway with the good fairy, I would ask her to imbue everybody with a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last a lifetime. And of course, it's very beautiful. And I kept that in my heart when I was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some research on this sense of awe, and there's a lot of research out it in terms of health, and it's in one study I read where it said it's really not a luxury. It's very essential to our well-being. So, in a way, this in meditation, we have that opportunity to really strengthen that, or to notice when, we're starting to shrink and have ideas about everything. But it's funny, how all of this weaves together. But awe is a very essential part of well-being. So
That is a beautiful thought and a beautiful quote. Yes. So that actually is a lovely place to close this morning, and I'll put the prayer book up again. One of the Zen teachers I like a lot is Joko Beck, and she talks a lot about wonder and awe too. So I think all of the great masters, you can see their capacity to see with a bigger picture and less rejection and more awe of all of life. So may we see our insides like that. May we have the bravery to go to the trunk garden of our insides, the rotting trunk garden of our insides, and see with awe the extraordinary seed of wisdom that there is right in that very part, in those moments of exploration. Okay. By this virtue, may I achieve omniscience, and may all who travel on the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the three precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one, seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, may you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises a lamp of the sage's teachings, may you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gar clan of Eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigten Sumgun. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. So wonderful. And Kathy, if you would stay on a minute to let me know in a little more detail what was happening with the Zoom life. So we do have a retreat coming up, not next weekend, but the weekend after. And we have our Tuesday, Thursday class. And I look forward to seeing all of you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khenmo. Welcome back.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Khenmo. Yes, welcome home.
Thank you, Khenmo.
Bye.
So I just got cryptic information from Carol, Kathy, that there had been.
Oh, did you? All right, I took good notes here.
Uh-huh.
Khenmo, if you don't mind, I'll stay on too, because I was part of it.
Please, yeah.
Let me just pull up that email.
Sure, John, I will email you the prayer book. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot I just wanted to research and study in that. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Here we go.
So
I'll
was
the
it
one that-
multiple times or just 1 week or?
multiple. So let me just pull up what I did write to Carol to
Mhm.
be
I could begin with, because I think the first instance was that first Tuesday after you were on retreat, and I was facilitating the Tuesday morning. And someone came on, and I think the name was Mike Hogan, and raised his hand during the meditation. So I asked him, what what's up or whatever. And he said that he wanted to talk to the group. And I said, well, we're in silent meditation just now. Can it wait? And he said, then no, I'm having trouble concentrating, so can you make me co-host? And I said, I thought about it for a few minutes and then I muted him and I didn't respond to that. And then after a few more minutes, he left. So that was like the group wasn't aware of it. So that one kind of slid by us. But then when Kathy was facilitating, it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
Huh.
So Carol had asked, maybe I sent a but anyway, I'll tell you, I have it on the top of my head. Carol Bailey. Um return.
What,
So
what,
what happened was on Tuesday of last week, an unidentified person came on, and I'm very gullible, and I thought it was a special needs person because there were just a lot of vocalizations. So at first I waved.
And the profile picture was like an animated devil.
Oh, was that it? And so I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just, a flat face. Maybe he had a condition, special needs. So at first I tried to engage a little bit, like, that. But then there were very loud, disturbing noises. So I admit I did panic for a second and I said, can somebody please help me? And Peggy helped me to know how to shut it all down. And our meeting continued. So
mhm.
without the distraction.
Because Kathy blocked him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said he had it set up quite sophisticatedly because I was able where if you mute, he could unmute himself instantaneously. And then to actually find how to have him leave the meeting, if you, I don't know, for lack of better, get rid of the person, you had to really dig to find how to get rid of that. So very sophisticated person. And then the second one, I was delighted to see this young person join our group, and oh, how great, a young person interested. And but there was a huffing and puffing sound, very disturbing. And I said, guys, and I had introduced that this is going on and we may need to close the meeting quickly. We had no host. That we, I just had the prayers. And so I said, folks, it looks like we're being hacked again. And the young man continued to engage and say, oh, we're being hacked. And I thought he was anxious. So I said, don't, don't worry. And then somebody on the call identified him as the hacker. And I didn't realize that. So then I said, we do need to go. So that's what happened. And his name was Damascus, young man, a dark skin tone, really bright kid, massive computer,
And
massive.
did anybody come in the Sundays or it was just the Tuesday and Thursday?
No Sundays.
That last one was on last Thursday.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I looked at is if you go to participants,
Mhm.
No, it's not there. There's some place, maybe it's on the more, now I can't find it, where before people join the meeting, I've made it so people couldn't unmute themselves.
Yeah.
So you can start that way. You don't enable people unmuting.
yeah, it's in the meeting settings.
Yeah.
And I apparently you've already set up so that there's a waiting room and that helps too. But I think what would help even more is to change the meeting codes. I know it's a big hassle, but
Yeah, we could do that, but then we'd have to email everybody with the new meeting codes. So I'll certainly take them off the website so that it's only registration, and I'll announce next Tuesday that we're going to change the meeting codes. And then I'll do it the
And
same way with a waiting room and no capacity
that.
to mute. Yeah.
And if you want one of us to monitor the waiting room while you're teaching, that might be good too, because it's hard to do that at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, some people didn't get admitted from the waiting room, quickly today. So it would be good. I'll make you guys co-hosts on Tuesday, and then you can keep your eye on things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was a little scary. And like today when Jeff started speaking,
Mhm.
and my stomach just lurched because, he had that deep voice and I thought, oh, here it goes. But it was just Jeff. So
And how
we'll
was,
work it out.
yeah, it won't hurt for them to listen to the Dharma, and we just won't give people the capacity to unmute. How was the Sunday class? How was teaching Tonglen and doing the Sunday? Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Good, wonderful, always good. And Kathy, thank you for delivering food. That was so kind of you. It was really,
Oh.
I found on the doorstep twice, Peggy, all this lovely food.
That must be so nice. So like you had someone, like, were you making your own meals in retreat, or did you have like?
Carol was there, thank goodness, the first 10 days or so, because what I didn't realize is the time after radiation, have the most side effects. So she was cooking really, really healthy food for the first 10 days. And then after that, I was starting to feel better, and she went home, and I didn't cook as healthy food as when she was cooking, but then I was
Well, I'll leave you with this thought, because I had a chance to have lunch with Mariah, my daughter, Kathy.
Yeah.
It's Mariah, and she was telling me about how they're working things out with the two little kids and feeding and picking up and all those things that young parents do. And she said, and so her husband, he's not a cook. He's a really, really good cleaner, but he's not a cook. And so she said, yeah, and he has supper ready when she brings her younger one home after daycare. And she said, and even makes something for the two of us too. She said, but I'm not too fond of having frozen pizza 4 nights in a row.
Oh, nice. So I'm glad they're doing well.
Yes. So
lovely to see both of you.
yes,
So good
likewise.
to see you. How are you feeling now, Khenmo? Do you feel like
I feel so much
rested?
better. That all these treatments, you get weak so incrementally that you don't notice it till all of a sudden you can't quite function. So now I feel back to normal.
I did not realize that you were under extended treatment. I thought it was like a one and done for some reason.
No, I had 3 weeks of radiation every day, and they told me that when they give these shorter radiations, it's stronger. So it was, it didn't feel so, the treatment wasn't, you couldn't even feel it when you were being treated. I mean, you probably feel more if you were in one of those sun tanning machines, but you get progressively weaker, and one of the big side effects is fatigue. So you have like narcolepsy. So yeah, so like it got to the point, but I didn't realize till I was in that point, like doing one laundry was all I could do for the whole day, and then you go, whoa, this is not good. But now I'm back to energetic, and what I feel is at least closer to normal.
How are you getting back and forth to your treatments?
Well, the hospital is, a 10-minute drive from here. So it didn't prevent driving, but it was, I couldn't do more than one thing a day. I couldn't do anything other than go to the radiation. But anyway, it was a perfect timing to be off a schedule and to take all the office stuff off my shoulders for a period and just recover and then do some good digesting.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was just reading something today. This little journal I got for some of my students. It's called Keep Moving, and in one of them it said um, something like "Ask for help when you need it."
Mhm.
And Kenmo, I hate to say, but that's not one of your strong suits.
It's because you don't know. So Carol Carol also is a breast cancer survivor. So, like in the beginning, it felt fine. So you just, you don't know it till you're in it. But
Yeah.
Carol was there. And so.
And then it's hard when you're in it to gather the energy to think about who to ask.
That's
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Don't let her off the hook, Peggy.
No,
No,
I had it.
But it is like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an irreverent thought at the beginning of the class today because I noticed that your voice was hoarse, and the thought went through me. How come she's hoarse? I thought she was on retreat. Was she talking all the time during the retreat?
No, because I wasn't talking. It's just like, oh, yeah, I gotta get to work again.
I knew the answer to the question, but just
I
thought,
thought, oh yeah, what were those voice exercises I was supposed to do?
Well, it was so good to see you, and you could just see everybody was just thrilled that
Yeah.
you're back again. So,
Well, thank you both for your support and for keeping things going and dealing with the surprise of what a time for someone to jump in and harass.
yeah, and work with whatever arises. I tried to encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah.
But
Kathy was very good at asking for help right away. And I didn't really know exactly what to say because I've never been in that situation, except that, I was prepared to block that other guy. So anyway,
I'll
it
find that
all,
more detailed one. I said, maybe I don't know who I sent it to. It may have been Carol, but she said I need specific dates and times. So I will find that right up in case you
That's,
be
that's
following
okay.
up.
I think she sent it to me, but I haven't opened my email yet. And I found out that you can't actually call Zoom anyway.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you have a particular kind of very expensive account, then they will give you support, but no, not with just the moderate account.
yeah, there's one. Sorry, Kathy.
oh, I was just gonna say with the man with the Ferris wheel or merry-go-round, he when I went to Zoom to have him leave,
Mm-hmm.
it did have this option to report.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to do that to Damascus. I just shut down the meeting. I said, I'm sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was able to do that to report.
I don't know what they do with the reports, but maybe they have like a no-fly list.
Yeah, it could be if there's too many
Yeah.
reports about an individual, but I I don't know much about this, but I had to look into it a little bit about mass emails and spam. And one of the things that I read is that when you send a mass, like you send your newsletter and you send it through the Drikung at Gmail address, that a lot more messages go into people's spam folders if you are sending from a Gmail address.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. So you may want to consider changing your constant contact email address. Like you could maybe you have one already for the nunnery, that
Uh.
you're at your normal address, your Khenmo at vajradakini.org. That would be a good address to send from, but you don't want your inbox all filled up, right? So
I actually
um,
send it from 3 different addresses because I never know which, because some people still can't get it. So I send it from a Yahoo address, a Gmail address, and from our .org address.
and the Yahoo and the Gmail are the two that they mention that most
Oh,
often goes
really?
into spam. And then if you're sending from multiple addresses, that's probably a problem too. Yeah, because I don't usually get it, and I tried to change it and to say that the Drikung address was a trusted address and all that, but I still don't ever get anything from you that's sent to everybody. So for what that's worth, that's another layer of stuff to deal with, right? But there's,
We are thinking of getting technical help,
yeah.
a technical person.
Yeah, because I mean, I've just shared with you the whole body of my knowledge about spam, so.
And for me, it's just an observation, Kenmo. So Peggy and I were chatting, and Peggy said she types in the 2121 to get into your to the
The
meeting.
Tuesdays, the
Tuesday,
Tuesday, Thursday.
right? And I don't,
You use
because yeah, I just go a long time ago when I first met all of you, I just copied all those links and put it in my notes.
yeah.
So there's many ways too that people are getting into the.
There is a setting in Zoom for only allowing qualified participants, meaning people that put in the code.
Yeah,
I've seen that somewhere in Zoom.
yeah, we could do that. I don't want to add too many barriers. I think we'll see, we'll try a couple on Tuesday and Thursday and see if it's a problem. We'll try progressive layers of barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the intention, I believe it is to get the Dharma out to as many people as possible. So once you start loading it up with, multiple steps to get the passcodes and, the passwords.
Well, and when I look at Dharma centers that send out weekly links, they have a secretary doing that. So
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah.
We send out for our local Sangha, we send out every 2 weeks, and it's only it's not available anywhere else. I put an event on Facebook, but I tell people that if they want to know the codes, they have to contact me. But the reason that we do every 2 weeks is because we have different teaching content every 2 weeks. So, that's, and I mean, it would be similar for the Sunday Dharma, except it's weekly. And also we are not really having trouble with the Sunday Dharma. It's the Tuesday, Thursday. So, I don't have any solutions. I'm just observing.
It's just so sad that somebody would have to work so hard to find our teeny tiny little group and then decide that we'll be the ones they'll pick on this week. That's so sad.
And what do they get out of it? That's what what's the motivation here?
Well, I was talking to my husband about it.
Yeah.
And actually, these people there's algorithms that they're using. So they're indiscriminate.
Oh.
And so it's not that we're, they're focusing on us. What I found interesting was that the young man, when we were saying our prayers, he was quiet and looking. It wasn't until the meditation and you get that, you see everybody, then you get your pop, your reaction. But I just found that really interesting, that because I noticed him, but he was there all during the prayers and quiet, and looking, so anyway, who knows what this is all about? But my understanding is that they're just generating all these codes and whatnot, that
Yeah.
once they're in, then they're happy and do whatever they need to do.
But early in the morning on a weekday, I mean,
I know. I
Oh, yeah,
can't-
but we don't know where he's located, right?
yeah.
Right.
It
That's
could
true
be
too.
In a very different time zone.
Yeah,
But he
true.
did have an American accent. So anyway, what are you gonna do? You know,
Anyway,
the whole
we'll
teaching today, whatever arises, we're gonna make butterflies.
we'll see if he comes this week or if already you've conquered the problem.
So, so good to see you.
Take good
Bye,
care.
Peggy.
Bye.
For everything, Peg. You're a great help.
Thanks. Thanks.